Hello Raindrops, welcome to Govern Minute. Minutes that matter. I'm Mr. A, reminding you to take care of those big three right now. Like and share this video, subscribe to this channel, and click on that notification bell so you know when our videos come out. As always, this video is dedicated to the glory of God who blessed this land. Last time we talked about the Great Compromise, the Connecticut Compromise. It was the dispute between large and small states about representation in Congress. Would it be proportional, like large states wanted, or would it be equal representation, like the small states wanted? If you remember, Connecticut came up with the compromise to have a bicameral legislature. The House would be determined by population, proportional population, and the Senate would be equal representation. The Connecticut Compromise wasn't the only compromise our founding fathers had to agree to. There were several other notable ones. For example, besides the Connecticut Compromise, you had the 3/5 Compromise. Once representation would be based on population, the small states wanted to count all of their slaves for representation purposes. North had a problem with that, and so what they agreed to was the 3/5 Compromise. 3/5 of each slave would be counted for representation purposes. Put another way, out of every 5 slaves, 3 would be counted for representation purposes. They also had the Commerce and Slave Trade Compromise. The commerce part of it would be that Congress would not tax exports. Exports are products that leave this country to be sold in another country. And they would leave the slavery question alone for 20 years. It's good to see that politicians back then were politicians like they are now, willing to kick the can down the road to the next generation with the Commerce and Slave Trade Compromise. The Constitution has been called a bundle of compromises. One of the most stressful things I've heard is building a house with your spouse. You don't want a mouse or your brother the louse. Sorry, I turned into Jesse Jackson there for a moment. But it's very stressful because of so many decisions that have to be made. What's the exterior going to look like? What materials? Brick, siding, wood. What about the windows, the color, the size, the shape? What about the shutters, the front door, the hardware, the garage doors? What type of walkway are you going to have? What paint color are you going to use? What trim color, etc., etc. So it is stressful, and you go inside, there's even more. Flooring, what type? Carpet, laminate, wood, vinyl. Are you going to have recessed lights, hanging lights? Are you going to have lighting that is dimmable? What kind of doors? What kind of hardware? The knobs, etc. The flooring, the tile, paint colors, curtains, you name it. A lot of decisions to be made. One thing no one ever disagrees on is the foundation. No one ever says, you know what, it would be fun if our foundation sloped toward the left side of the house or toward the back of the house. Everyone agrees that a nice, flat, square foundation is best. And while our founding fathers did have to compromise on several things, there were certain things there was no need to compromise because they were all in agreement on several things. Things like the idea that a new national government to replace the Articles of Confederation was needed. Popular sovereignty, they all agreed on that. The people have the power. Limited government. Government cannot and should not do everything. A representative government. People should vote for representatives to take care of business. The separation of powers, even though the powers given to the national government were very, very limited, they were so scared to death of a strong central government that they took these powers and separated them among 3 separate and independent branches of government. And finally, checks and balances. The idea that each branch of government could do something to stop the other ones from acting, or behaving tyrannically. And so our founding fathers did have to compromise on several things, but they agreed on the foundation. Finally, the convention was done. The Constitution was put in its final form. And the birth date of the Constitution is September 17th. Now, before it took effect, 9 out of 13 states had to agree to it. How easy was that? We'll see next time on Govern Minute. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you paid attention because there will be a test at the next election. This is Mr. A reminding you that we, the people, are the government. We'll see you next time.